How to get African house snakes eating frozen thawed. That's what we'll be talking about today. And to join me is Jasmine. This is not Jasmine. You're not Jasmine. Today joining me is Delilah. And Delilah is a black African house snake. I really love this species of snake. They are really cool. They're really interactive. They're really small. They're really lots of wonderful things. The really great thing about these African house snakes is this is a full-size adult, and she's given birth to 2 clutches. She's laid 2 clutches of African house snakes, both of them about 10 babies, and they've done well, and they're here with us today to talk about the issue that we have with them. Even though these are wonderful snakes, they are the most difficult snakes to get on frozen thawed. And my buddy Charlie breeds mice. Say goodbye to Delilah, because we're gonna put her away and look at some babies. Goodbye! I'm showing you here how I keep the babies. I start them off in little groups, and I do this now with most of my snakes that don't eat other snakes. This is my second time filming this. I did it, and now I knocked over the water and stuff. I gotta clean everything, but it didn't record, so here we are, round 2. They never seem to go under the hide, so I give it anyways. They're always kind of under the paper towel hanging out. There you can see they're beautiful and shiny and cute little busters. They'll never... In the past decade, I have messed around with cohabitating animals in certain ways, and it's not about what you do, but how you do it that creates all the problems. And many people cohabit to save space, but they don't do it to benefit the animal. I, on the other hand, do it to benefit the animals. And if you don't believe me, you gotta watch the video at the end of this one, because it'll explain everything, how I do it and why it works, and why I think in the next 10 years people are gonna realize that snakes actually do a little bit better when they're together. They don't stress each other out. They don't piss each other off. They help interact with each other and make them better for us to enjoy. But that doesn't mean to just go and cohabitate your snakes. It means don't do that, because most of the time it's bad. And if you don't do things properly, you're gonna have a big mess, and you'll have snakes biting each other, eating each other, and all sorts of crazy things. Have I had any of those issues? No, because I have a system. If you want success for anything, you need to have a system. So my system is at the end of this video. So watch the whole thing before you come bothering me or talking nonsense, because you got to gather information before you can come to conclusions. And I've had breeders that have changed their mind about the way that they feel about animals after seeing the way that I keep mine. But let's get back to this though. So what do I do? I grow them in these groups together. When they're babies, they're in larger groups, so maybe like 5. And then as they get bigger, I separate them to 2. And then as they get older, I put them kind of by themselves for a while. It's a whole system. It's a little bit complex. It's a whole 30-minute video explaining it with the African house snakes. What I do is I have the 5 of them together, and none of them really want to eat. They're not super eager eaters. So I have them together. I put in the baby mouse, frozen thawed one. I stick it in like the corner of the home that's away from the heat. And then if one of them are hungry, that one will probably go and eat it. But most of the time, they're not really hungry. They're kind of like these animals that are more shy and timid, so they avoid food. I never try to dangle food for them, because they'll never come and take it. They'll always run away because they're scared. Later on, when they're adults, you can, and they might. But there's different systems for different animals. What works with these is I have them in groups. I offer the group food, and then if one of them ends up eating, I take that snake and I separate it from the others, and now that's a good snake. This is a snake that eats frozen thawed, so that makes me happy. And then I'll keep it eating frozen thawed on its own until it's really a good eater. Then I might put it with another one that's also eating frozen thawed. Some of them will eat, some of them won't. The ones that won't, I will then give baby mice, because my buddy Charlie breeds mice, so it's easy. So I have access to live mice. I'll feed them live mice for a while till they get kind of in that pattern of eating, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll try and offer them frozen thawed. But at that point, I won't do it to them in a group anymore because they're a little bit older. They might be more like food responsive and stuff. So at that point, I will totally separate them and feed them. And all the snakes that I do keep together are never fed together. That's one little takeaway that I can give you for now. When they're juveniles, like over here, they're set up like this. And these snakes are very shy, so they do very well in a small environment where they feel comfortable. Even though I give them a hide, they never use it. They're always under the hide in the paper towel hiding, and that's what they do. This one has to be cleaned, sorry, but that's how it is. That's the condition they're kept in. I didn't clean them even before. They're in good condition. I keep them really clean and nice. And then anyone that buys one, I suggest, you know, you can slowly work your way to a bigger home. So you can see here, this one didn't eat, but this is what I do. I take the food and I put it in the back of the bin next to the heat so that the bin heats it up, and then I cover it with the hide so that it's extra safe, it's warm, and usually they'll eat it. This one ate, and this one ate too. And you can see, so they're chilling, having a nice time, looking all nice and wonderful. So if you have one that's not eating and you want, or it's just eating live and you want to switch it over to frozen thawed, what I would do is same kind of thing. Make sure it's in a small container. You don't want it to be in a really big container because it's better where it can find the food and where everything's nice, simple and clean. There's a craze with bioactive going on, and I love bioactive. I have a crazy bioactive video on the way, so subscribe so that you can see that. These snakes are perfect for bioactive enclosures once they're adults. But when they're babies, you see, lots of new keepers have issues, and those issues almost always are with like the conditions not being right. Either the temperature, the humidity, or that they have substrate. Because when you stick food in with substrate, the snake that's young and weak, it can end up swallowing some, it can end up getting some in the eye, it can get some stuck in its butt, they can get blisters, they can get all sorts of weird things happen where something gets lodged under a scale. And in paper towel, that will never happen, but it can happen on substrate. So for me, I like to keep everything really clean, sanitary, compact, make them feel safe, but not squish them so much they do go to bigger homes eventually. And when people buy them, I suggest, you know, start off same thing, something simple, clean, something you can do, and then slowly work your way up to something bigger. And I really love bins. They do well in bins. Even if you do bioactive bins, what you can do is wait for Christmas and buy one of those Christmas tree bins and build yourself a beautiful bioactive home in there. Just because in glass, the heat transfer, it's just picture this. You're leaning up against a wood door. You don't get the cold from that wood door because it insulates. When you lean up against a piece of glass, if the room is cold, that glass is cold, and then your snake touches it and it makes your snake cold. But we got sidetracked. So, ADD at its finest. If you want to get a snake that's only eating live to switch over to frozen thawed, lots of the time you got to starve it a little bit, and that's okay. Like, snakes can go a long time without eating. We're not like doing anything really terrible. Let's say you get it eaten every 2 weeks, so don't feed it for 2 weeks. Then leave the mouse in the back of its home. Try mice. Yeah, well, they're so tiny you don't ever need to feed them rats. But yeah, I was gonna say try rats, try mice, because that's what you do kind of with boas if you have to. But with these guys, yeah, little mice in the back, where it's heat, leave it overnight, see if they eat. If they don't, feed it to something else or toss it out, and then try again 2 days later. And every 2 days, try again. Let a month go by and just try every 2 days. And after a month goes by, if it doesn't eat, feed it something so that it eats, and then start the process over again. Eventually you will get the animal to switch over to frozen thawed, and then you'll be a happy camper. These snakes breed so easily, and they're so kind of like easy to care for once you get them going. I used to be kind of surprised why we didn't see them as much and why not as many breeders are working with them, and it makes sense now because they aren't the easiest to get eating. They are literally like a pain in the butt to get these guys to eat, especially when they get started. today someone messaged me and said they're going to buy one off a breeder maybe that has it on live, and that's something that I like to never do. I always want to sell someone an animal that's eating frozen thawed. I charge $300 for these because Mexican black snakes are now going for around $400 here in Canada, Canadian dollars. So these to me are every bit as amazing, if not more. Tons of personality, great. They're just difficult to get eating, and I charge $300 for them, and I have some. So if you want one and you're in Canada, they're pretty easy to get, and I won't sell you anything unless it's easy eating frozen thawed. So check out that video about cohabilitation. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Love you long time, and see ya in the next one.